Kim Dennis.
Mark Cleary.
Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you, and welcome to Enviro Pacific's boardroom.
Thank you very much.
And in the middle of an incredibly, it is a balanced day, but we'll talk about work-life balance a little later if we could. Founder of Jungle and Jungle Management, I should say.
Yes.
5.5 years old? Oh, 10 years old this year.
10 years this year.
And you're going to do something.
Yeah, you're going to hold me to it, aren't you?
Yeah.
I should be doing something for it. So
tell us about what Jungle Management is all about.
Yeah, okay. Well, Jungle Management, we set that up in 2002, and that was in response to something which I saw was lacking in the legal services market. It's basically a law firm that focuses on sales, marketing, advertising, technology industries, and marketing departments within sort of large corporates and things. And we do corporate, commercial, and intellectual property law, and we just give them a really excellent niche sort of quality service.
Fantastic, because it is fraught with difficulties and chasms, I think is probably
absolutely.
Crevasses is another phrase, I would think.
I think
spent some time on Channel 7?
Yes. So prior to Jungle, I was in-house legal counsel at Channel 7. And prior to that, I worked in mergers and acquisitions at one of the other mid-sized firms, and prior to that, media and entertainment law. So Jungle was my amalgamation of everything fun and interesting that I wanted to do.
There you go.
So law with all the marketing, the media, the technology, people, good parties. Although I'm a bit old for that now. I don't get out as much now.
Well, 3 children within 3 years, that'll knock your partying resilience around, I think.
Yeah, but it was fun at 27. I said, this is great, we're going to the best parties ever. But now it's like, definitely the business has changed over time, but it's good, as have I.
Yeah, as you. Well, let's talk about that evolution. Are there, and this is where your heavy preparation for today comes into play.
Okay.
If you missed the relevance of the question. 2 or 3 moments or strategies in the last 10 years that you kind of look back and say, hey, that was really clever, or whoops.
Yep. I think I had to think about this because there's so many things that you do learn along the way. But I guess the key one that really sticks with me is how we developed a niche business. And at the time, we even had people writing articles and things about us because we were one of the very first law firms to incorporate. So we're one of the first law firms that could call ourselves something other than a person's, surname. And I loved it because I'm into marketing, and I wanted to show that I understand about branding, and target markets and all that other sort of stuff that our clients are into. So that's what we did with Jungle. By being very niche and knowing exactly what we do and limiting it to what we do, we've become very good at what we do.
I love the phrase, you're putting all the stuff you had fun with together. That's it's a great position to start with.
Yeah, I think so. And I think putting it all together, and I guess there's always if you're doing all the fun stuff, really it never really feels like work. The niche side of things, that is exactly, I guess, how it came about. I just picked all the things I liked and said, this is what I'm going to do. So I don't do conveyancing, I don't do litigation. I do what I call the fun stuff in law. So lots of contracts and deal making and the proactive strategic stuff, and helping businesses grow. So it's very rewarding.
Pointy end of law too, isn't it, really? That commercialisation of ideas and...
Yeah, it's a pointy end, but it is definitely the most exciting end because it's what's changing all the time. And over the years we've been asked, and we have written for, say, Marketing Magazine on a lot of the emerging legal issues in marketing before it's even become mainstream and before other lawyers or other people have really even talked about it, because they could see those things were emerging in their markets. So for instance, things about Google AdWords and privacy issues and blogging, like the legalities of blogging. We were probably the first one to even write an article on what the legalities are of blogging, and this is when luckily we've always had a very young team of people, and I've had to go and ask them about what does this actually mean, and then I'll apply the law to it. So we've had a very niche...
having the right people there.
Yep.
Yes.
most definitely.
Yeah.
And so niche, definitely. The other thing which we've been really big on is really building relationships, which I know sounds really cliche because everybody talks about it, but particularly in a service-based business, it is all about relationships and also quality service. There's no point having a great relationship if you can't deliver, but the relationships will keep, and the quality service will keep people coming back. We don't really need to actively market Jungle because it markets itself, basically. People keep coming back and they refer others, so
why do they keep coming back? That relationship is sometimes cliched.
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah.
Why do they keep coming back? I think it is because of those two things. Of first of all, the relationship and the investment that they've made in the relationship and the investment that we've made in the relationship. It's very difficult to sort of move on to someone else and relay all that really detailed technical information to somebody new unless you really have had a bad experience with someone. So that's one thing which certainly works in the professional service provider's favour. So you won't leave your accountant too easily either, because it's
painful.
It's painful. Or leaving your bank, those sorts of things. It's very difficult to move on. But also the other thing is, I think, providing a quality service. That's, I think, how you know that you're definitely doing the right thing when people do keep coming back all the time and referring their friends. We provide a quality service because I'm very much focused on getting an outcome for the client that suits what they want rather than what I think they want. And I think that that's something that a lot of lawyers and a lot of accountants and other consultants do miss, because they fail to ask the client what they are actually trying to achieve, big picture wise, and also small picture wise with this specific issue. Because the big picture often changes how you might deal with one specific task. Like if you're looking to sell a business, you might deal with this particular issue quite differently than if you were intending to run it until you retire. And I think also just in terms of the actual task, sometimes, certainly clients will come in and they might tell you how they think it should actually be resolved. I always say, let's not talk about the how, let's talk about what you're trying to achieve, and then we'll work out the ways that we can get there and what suits you the best. I think that that's something that's quite different from what other firms normally do in my space, because I am a business person and I think of myself more as a business person than a lawyer. I'm a business person with legal skills. And so I do understand my client's headspace.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Let's talk about one of the things that span out of that, seeing clients with needs and then creating the round table.
The round room.
The round room?
No, it's a bit confusing
sometimes. It is.
Sorry.
Let's talk about that. Its origins and its purpose.
Okay. Well, the round room is something new that we started up at the end of last year, in October, so it's only very new. But it has been in response to a couple of things that we saw were missing in the market, and also things which I do feel passionate about as well. I have got a few clients that are extremely successful entrepreneurs or CEOs who were looking for really specific advice. One was looking to launch in the media industry but in Singapore. Another one was looking to build their business up with a view to selling it out to a multinational. And these are like multi-million-dollar businesses turning over sort of 30 to 80 mil type thing. They wanted someone who understood their size business in those particular markets, who could actually offer real value, strategic value, not a lawyer and not an accountant. And they asked me, do I know anyone who might be able to help them? And I went, going through my little black book, there's no one that comes immediately to mind who's used to running, multi-million-dollar businesses. I mean, they would want to step up, someone who's built their own business that's turning over 100 mil more type thing. So I thought, well, this has been an issue the whole time with Jungle. You get asked for referrals and you cannot find someone who just fits exactly. And personality-wise, that's another thing too with advisors. It's not just about the skills. So the round room was designed initially for that purpose, of addressing, creating sort of an advisor directory where people will be able to find entrepreneurs and other business leaders and CEOs and others who can provide more strategic advice, they are the people who are not normally available for advice. Those who might normally sit on an advisory board or a board of directors, and we've set it up so that people could contact people and ask them just to catch up for a coffee, or to just have a 1 hour appointment. It doesn't have to be something ongoing, or it could be something more ongoing. The idea was to allow both those people to connect and help each other, and share their expertise. So you can still use certainly your law firms and your accounting firms, but when you want someone who understands a particular industry, or has gone through the experience of exiting a business, building a business, and exiting
it's the ultimate in niching, isn't it?
It's the ultimate in niching, I think. So that's one reason why we set up the round room. The other one is that for years and years, I've been saying the problem with Jungle is because we're always capped by the number of hours that we will always be capped in our revenue because we sell things by the hour. And whilst we've tried various other things to do with value-based fees and billing and all that sort of stuff, it's not that big in the Australian market, much bigger in the US market. It just doesn't seem to work as well here. And there are times when we've had to refer new clients, like we've had to refer them on to other people because we just can't take on the work, or sometimes they can't afford our fees and things. They just need to build their business to that next step where it will be a sensible investment for them to invest in it, although I think it's always a good investment, but it's one of those things, they're not at that stage yet where they feel they need the advice. They'll just go and educate themselves first up. So the round room addresses that second need, which is for others who maybe want to be educated and learn more about, get more high level insights, fly with the eagles, so to speak. We've got publications, we've got books based on sort of an advisory board concept. We've also got the advisor directory, events, and what's the other thing? Events and benchmark reports and case studies. So that's more to address sort of that broader market who isn't necessarily looking to retain someone just yet, but eventually would like to do so. And it's somewhere where we can suggest to people who call us who we can't service that they might be able to have their needs met for the meantime until they get to that
just
space.
Create it, or you've finished creating the model that
I
Bob and I started about 18 months ago. I never got anywhere with it, but it's a great model, and we should have coffee and talk about it. Anyway.
We're still fine-tuning things. It's always a thing with businesses,
because
though. It always changes.
What I love about your niche is it must always be under pressure. A niche is only a niche while ever you're disciplined and focused.
Yes.
To keep it there.
Yes.
So.
I think that's one of the realizations of business over time is that as much as you might say, okay, I think I've built the business and it's perfect now, everything around you changes and you have to change with it. So I think now I've finally come to the realization that you really can't ever put your pen down and say it's all done. It is a case of it's just going to continue. You just have to move with the times, and unfortunately these days, and I suppose it goes back to your work-life balance question, which I know we will be talking about, with technology, you just got to move faster now, and that's what's scarier. I think that keeping up pace with the change, and particularly in this advisory area, and it's challenging, but also if you're smart enough to stay ahead of it and think forward ahead of it, I think there's real opportunity.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the young people you go to advice on blogging and stuff like that. You'll find your children fit into that category soon too. So we won't wish them to be that old.
How does
quickly.
This work? Where's my wall again?
Oh
God, there's some funny things. But,
let's talk about work life.
Something I've heard about. I was thinking about this because, look, I guess ultimately when I originally started up Jungle, the idea was that I was supposed to have this work-life balance. Hence, I didn't want to work for someone else. I wanted to have control over my own life. Oops. But I guess the thing is, for me anyway, I run our business because I'm passionate about it. There are other people who run businesses because it pays the bills, but I run jungle in the round room because I'm passionate about it, and you can't really just turn that off and say I'm not going to care about it now. I try sometimes. It doesn't always work because when you get a great idea, you have to just do something about it. But work-life balance, for me, work-life balance, I guess I feel actually I do have work-life balance, but not in the traditional sense that others would talk about 9 to 5, 9 to 5 clock off, and now I'm having my balance time. My work-life balance is more the case that, for instance, I was working on a deal yesterday. I ran out the door and took my daughter to ballet late in the afternoon, came back home, was on a conference call at 8 and worked on a contract till late last night, up again this morning at 8, took my son to music in the morning and then came in here. So, it's pretty full on. I don't know if you'd call it balanced. I'm fitting in family life with work life, and very fortunately I've got a very good junior solicitor who actually helps me out a great deal in terms of covering me over those periods. I'm happy with it, and I don't know quite how else I could change it, to be honest. I'd love to slow it down, but I don't think it's realistic.
No. But it's, for you, and that's the only person in it. Well, no, again, Shivani Gupta talked about 3 things in life, being able to balance or work with 3 things. There's 7 things, 7 categories. Okay. You can have 7, choose 3. and I've worked out it's not a circle or it's not a balance. It's actually an oval or an ellipsoid or whatever where you go to a high point and a thick point and a narrow point and all that sort of. Okay. It's what we need it to be. Yep. And as long as you realise that you can't control it. I think if you're feeling fulfilled in a variety of different ways, because I guess it all again comes down to what it is that you need to fulfill you. I've got friends who I think maybe more, they get maybe more, sadly, maybe more fulfillment out of their work achievements maybe than out of doing a lot of home life type stuff. See, I love ballet and music. I just think that is a great balance. You can't, and with your children, you cannot think of anything else other than them when you're with them, and it's a great escape. I think that's right. I think so. I have to actually book in and pay for these things because it will force me to go rather than say, oh yeah, I'll get around to that. It's a shocking thing. It's like I have actually paid for all these Pilates classes, which I haven't been there for probably 10 weeks. I know I've got to go back and do it with them. But I thought that actually by committing to it, I might actually go. Anyway, I'll get back there eventually. Yeah. Part of my work-life balance, not working perfectly. I'm not going to go there. You do not look like you need Pilates, but it's part of you, so you should do it. The next bit of your preparation would have taken you to the rant.
The rant.
Which is, if we could change something, because the Hunter Business Insider can change anything in your business life you wish at this moment. Kim, what would you like to change?
Rant about something that would change in my business life.
Yeah.
I was going to rant about something sort of more broadly.
Go.
I have to admit.
Feel free.
I could rant about many things, but something I do feel very passionately about is on this advisory sort of nature. And I know it sounds a bit like I'm talking about the round room again, but I guess that's why we came about with the round room. I think that a lot of people don't know how to use advisors properly or when to use them. And they tend to only use them more in a reactive situation where they're in trouble. So then they go and get advice as opposed to using it in a proactive way to help them add value straight away.
They would think it's the most ineffective time to ask for advice when you're under pressure.
It's like the opposite. They should be doing the opposite. And then the thing is, then they go and get cheap advice somewhere, and then it doesn't work. And then they say, oh, that was a complete waste of time. And I always say, you've got to look at who it is that you're getting your advice from. If someone's driving, if your accountant's driving a Porsche and you want to be driving a Porsche, you should be getting, if you should be getting your advice from an accountant who drives a Porsche, not, not some other model or whatever. If you want to be conservative, get a conservative accountant. If you want to be entrepreneurial, get an entrepreneurial accountant. Everybody's got their own different personalities, but you need to pick advisors who can who match your personality and match what it is that you're trying to achieve. On the other side too, my frustration is, I guess, just that a lot of advisors don't properly, in my view, understand what advising really is, and where they maybe take things personally, where they think it's about, somebody's not following my advice, so that means that they don't respect me, and that's not what it's about. I mean, not in my view. In law, we're very good at separating between, your opinion, their opinion, and I mean, really, as a lawyer, we are interpreters of the law. It's not really about right or wrong, it's how we interpret it and apply it to a situation. I think that the problem often with the legal profession is that they fail to understand that they are advising business people who have got a desired outcome, and they advise from this very academic perspective without really giving a solution or options. And I think that that's where there's just a massive big clash between lawyers, accountants, business people. I think if they could all sort of learn to understand each other better, they would all actually do far better between all of them.
Why then? Let me take you back, because I agree totally. It was you actually pay, you get what you pay for, and these are seemingly smart business people that will go to the cheapest or a friend or why do they compromise the outcome, do you think? They don't obviously go to these people expecting to compromise the outcome. Why do they put themselves in that position rather than going to the Porsche driving
I think it's
do they understand what they want? Is that the problem? They don't get that. I don't know.
I think I think it comes down to that people don't really know how to use advisors to address a particular need that they have in their business right now, for instance. To me, it makes sense to get the best person possible to help you with your strategy at the time when you're developing things. But maybe on implementation or rolling something out, it maybe doesn't mean you need the most expensive person or the most elite person. You just need someone who can do the job and do it properly. And that varies depending on what type of advice or what kind of work you're getting done. I mean, it's hard, it's not fair to be, to say that, I mean, there's not really anything around that really explains to people how they should be using advisors. I mean, what we're wanting to do with the Round Room is certainly show people how they should be using different types of advisors for different types of things. Something that I'm a big fan of is a book called What Colour Is Your Parachute by Richard Bowles. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
But it's actually a career guidance book, and I've actually used exercises out of that to help recruit staff over the years. It's all very much about designing your dream job, but in the context of the employment.
Is it?
Richard Bowles, Bolles, and I mean, it's a book that I've come across, but I suppose I apply a lot of that to the advisory side of things too, because what he says is don't look at what you're labelled, that I'm a lawyer or whatever. Look at what your underlying skill sets are. So that, for instance, I like writing, I like negotiating and analysing things, so you should design a job around that. Now, that might mean being a lawyer, but it could mean being something else completely different that still uses those same skills. My view is that with advisory, it should be a similar sort of thing. People think, there's no point asking the marketing manager at Westpac for advice because they wouldn't have a clue about my small business. Yet if you actually pulled aside the label and looked underneath and saw what skill sets and experiences that person has, they could very well offer exactly the advice that you need. I mean, I suppose if I really wanted to rant about something, I'm really anti-labelling people and things. I really hate it. And I hate being labelled a lawyer because I feel like I get put in the bag with everybody else. And so it's a classic situation of I've been labelled a lawyer for now, 15 years, and it's like suddenly the attitude changes as soon as you're out socially somewhere and someone says you're a lawyer, and suddenly they're all on their toes, and you're just like,
And all you're doing is hoping there's a banker in the room to deflect something. Sorry.
No, but it's that same thing. Everyone just gets labelled by these things, and
That's
I'm just
a cool rant. Remove labels.
Remove labels. I hate them. I hate them. I really just think that people should look more deeply into things and more deeply into issues. People come in and say, I've got an intellectual property issue. Well, hang on. What is the actual issue? Maybe it's not an intellectual property issue. Maybe that's maybe that's just another commercial strategic issue, got nothing to really do with IP. So I think trying to classify things before they've really been, worked through is premature, and I think a bit dangerous. I think if people scaled things back a bit, it would be smarter.
Wow.
There you go.
If only you'd spent less time thinking about your rant. I think.
Sorry.
No, do not apologise. Yes, we should all not have labels on our business cards.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying that. I think to clarify, I think that labels are good for. I mean, I've realised this because I have at some points. Tried to de-label things at Jungle, and then I find that people just get very confused because they don't really know what it is that we do. And at the end of the day, it makes most sense for us to say that we are a law firm, but yeah, we can help people with other things too. But people like to be able to label things because it makes them feel comfortable.
Then they've got those little bags they can.
They can label it. But I think that ultimately, if you're looking to do better for yourself and to be a happier person, we should throw away the labels.
Yeah, be in control of.
Yeah, and understand what it is that makes up the person, or what it is that makes up the job, or what it is that, makes up a person's success, not what the end thing is.
We should all do that for all our clients.
It
would be a better world.
I think so.
Kim, thank you.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Extraordinary round, extraordinary session.
Oh, thank you.